What's going on, guys? Let's get into a trade recap. I wanted to actually start this one with a trade that I posted in the Discord that I was looking for very specific criteria, and all of it was met, but I just didn't get the signal to go and enter the position. Worked out beautifully if anyone did take that, but I want to show what I was looking at and why. And also kind of just note that I was trying to go aggressively short against a runner that I had on 0216 490 calls that I ended up picking up as this daily, or I'm sorry, this weekly candle kind of pulled back for this wick and touched previous week high. Right, I ended up picking up those 490s at like 475, added a little bit at like 43, average was 445, and then I trimmed today at like 4 to 5.6, somewhere in that range. I had one, and I was just looking to kind of short against that. And the reason that I was looking to go short is pretty simple. If you guys don't know, candles are open, high, low, close, or open, low, high, close, right? If we take a look at last week's candle, you could argue that this really wasn't a strong candle, right, in terms of volume, but it did press to the all-time high right here at 480. And what we had was an open, low, high, and then a close, right? The close, though, was very strong on the bar aspect of it, right? Maybe not volume, but the bar closed right at the highs, no upper wick, and closed over the all-time high. Now, I was kind of wondering if we were going to get a similar candle to this one. I beg to differ, right? Most candles don't have closes like this, at least back to back. As I say that, I kind of look down here, but most don't close like that. You typically get like a Thursday or a Friday reversal. And if you guys don't know, right, Wednesday, Thursday, you'll typically see high or low of the week. So I was looking for some kind of reversal on Thursday, Friday, and kind of the top or bottom to be in by Wednesday. And then I was looking to short to get that close, right? That would give us that upper wick. I thought it would happen right at 490. It was a little bit shy, as you guys can see. But let's dive into the daily really quickly so we can investigate a little bit further. On the daily, you guys take a look, right? Monday was here. We had Tuesday. Pretty tight days, inside bar here. And then we had that gap up day on Wednesday, which is always concerning for me. Like I said, I usually expect higher low on a Wednesday or a potential Thursday. And what we ended up seeing, right, was a retest of the previous week high, right? Really tight consolidation, gap up Wednesday, kind of sold off, right? But we had our, what I believe to be our high, okay? Now, we ended up hovering around this level for quite some time, but I want to have this marked out because this is what I was expecting to be my high. I was looking for some kind of liquidity sweep over the top on a higher time frame or just some kind of failure to break higher, and then obviously a close back below. Remember, I thought 490 was technically going to be the top, so I was expecting another dollar of buffer, and I was going to look for some kind of sweep over the top, pull back, right, and then lower high, enter, break of structure. I was going to re-add on the break of structure and then kind of have something that looked like that. I really was planning to do exactly this, and it worked out perfectly. Let's go ahead and jump into a lower time frame, right? And it was actually really nice to see the fact that we had another consolidation or a rest day on Wednesday's high, like right underneath it, and then we opened kind of the same situation in the same spot, pushed up, right, really quickly into that 488.77, and we did sweep this level. So let's take a look on the smaller time frames really quickly, and you guys will see, right, we kind of opened, dropped down. We had this big buyer that stepped in. This was a lot cleaner on QQQ, I'll be honest. I thought this was like a mitigation candle because it broke the low, and if you guys didn't know, Discord knew, but there's a big buyer that's sitting down here around 485.3. I don't know why. There's about like $1.7 billion in just passive bids sitting down here. So once we lost the low, I thought this was a mitigation candle to get at least back to break even, and I thought we were going to press lower. It didn't happen that way. This ended up pushing up towards 488.77 on relatively low volume, as you guys can see, right? Low volume leading into my spot. I was like, okay, I'm looking for a short at this level, and I really was just kind of riding out my 0216 contracts that were longer dated. I did trim into this high here as we had kind of like the, I wouldn't say strength per se in terms of volume, but the candles did break that level. They looked pretty decently strong, and I trimmed down to one contract, right? And then at that point, I was looking to go short. Now, I don't just short the top like this. I was kind of looking for it to sweep the top, right, pull back down and close under. And then obviously you can see we consistently got wicks off of this level. Wick, 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 wick. And really this kind of gives you that formation of a high, right, which is our liquidity sweep. And this broad area was our lower high. Now, very, very interesting thing too. If you guys, I talk about this all the time. I do trade with like 4 panels, right? So I have a 5-minute, 15-minute, hourly, and daily. On the hourly, this is, oh, it doesn't look like it. If I took off extended hours, I wonder if I can do that. Oh, I don't know how to do it on here, guys. Might be a major choke for the video. Can I find it really quickly? If I can't, I give up. Oh my god. It's probably here and I just can't see it. Under the, oh, here we go. Aha. Oh, that's for like stocks, right? Oh shit. Guys, I'm gonna have to choke this. Hold on. Let me just like freeze frame this and then I'll be right back. Okay, I managed to get this, guys. So here is the hourly without extended hours on. This is how I had it, right? But we had Wednesday's high here, which I expected to be our weekly high. And obviously we ended up selling off. You guys saw where we ended up having buyers step in. It pushed up on decreasing volume, so we had a divergence here in volume, which was a good sign, obviously, especially with me expecting some kind of sweep or external sweep of Wednesday's high. This is what the weekly high initially was too. So we ended up getting a push above. The hourly closed under, and then same exact thing, right? Wicked a little bit above, hourly closed under, bar by bar, lower highs, right? And then I was trying to actually, and I should have probably have shorted here if I'm being 100% honest, but I wanted to wait for some kind of breakdown. And let's actually put this back on. See, it's under equities, guys. I don't know why that didn't click initially. So what I was actually looking for was a break of structure underneath this low here, right? Because earlier in the day, we ended up having this rejection off of 488.77. Remember the initial high of the week? This is Wednesday's spot. We sold down, kind of a micro lower high, sold down, caught a nice bid here, which is still kind of our macro higher low. And then we ended up pushing up and just retesting this spot, right? This was our, our second hourly candle. We had a lot of wick rejections off of that, and then we finally broke down, right? And what I was initially expecting was if we took our fibs, we pull from low to high. I was actually expecting this to snap under, right, this little higher low spot here, which is our break of structure, our structure shift. I was expecting a bounce, right, to come here. And I was expecting a retest of not only that, right, because we did have this level be a valid area, but if we scoot back just a tad, right, we had our previous day high that was in this spot. So let's move this and make it all full circle. This is exactly what I drew up for my Discord. I ended up having, let's just make this like purple, right? So purple, and this is what my sweet spot was essentially for a short side trade. And I would have risked, what do you guys think I would have risked, right? Because you always want to measure out your risk. You guys can calculate your risk reward that way. Make sure it's at least a 2 to 2.5, 3R. Don't do a 1-to-1. I know a lot of people don't really measure their risk to their reward, and it ends up being you're risking more than you're making. That's how, it's an easy way to go red. But let's have this just be like our little, oh god, that looks so bad. This is why I don't like really doing this on Thinkorswim, guys. I can never find like a sweet spot for this. Oh god, once again I'm failing. Let's just keep it like that, right? So I was looking for this to push into this little zone here, right? Something in here. What the fuck? Sorry for cussing. There we go. Somewhere in here, and then I was gonna risk the lower high. So I think I measured this on TradingView. They have a pretty nice tool for that if you guys don't know. But you can also use your options chart and do the same thing on that. It ended up being a 3.5R if it ended up breaking the low. So this was essentially what I was looking for, but as you guys can see, it didn't even bounce off the 618. It kind of just melted through, right, pushed straight to the low. And if you guys, didn't know, this is a source of liquidity that the market is going to guide towards because we are essentially low vol. Like there's no volume really. If you guys have looked the past 3 or 4 days, a lot of market movement has been consolidation after either a gap up. We haven't had a gap down yet, but the market's been gapping up and just consolidating, right, with very, very low vol. Now this morning, the biggest buyer was here, right? What I mentioned earlier, that 15-minute candle or this 5-minute bar here. Big buyer here. So once this started to kind of fail, this buyer became the source or the draw of liquidity. So I was expecting it to pull to low a day, and as you guys saw, it did pull down and it held, right? Kind of snapped under just a little bit and made a new low. If you guys saw me on Twitter, right, I was like, man, like feels like no lows or no real highs are being like broken, and you're not getting a continuation out of a range. You're just kind of holding within a daily bar, right? And we saw that with those inside bars, that really tight action on the daily. And of course, that's exactly what happened. This broke the low, pushed back into our range, right? Broke the low, made a new low underneath this, but still candles were closing underneath it, or I'm sorry, above it, and then it pushed back into the range, right? Kind of made this little inverse head and shoulders pattern back on the initial low, and then it rallied, and what did we have? We finally got a push up, and we retested this initial break of structure, right? At this point, I walked away from the screen just because I thought this would play out a lot sooner. What time was this too? This was right before the market closed. I'm not going to take a 0 DTE or anything like that, but this got a really nice move from 488.11 straight back down right to the initial low. So I hope this helped, guys. Just kind of being patient, understanding, if you can take away a couple things here, it's patience, right? Understanding structure breaks, understanding volume, looking at your weekly candle, right? And trying to understand where you're at, by Wednesday. You can always kind of predict how Thursday, Friday are going to look. Wednesday, like I said, going into Thursday, I try to, most of the time it ends up being your high or your low of the week. You can almost calculate how it's going to form out on Thursday, Friday. Don't predict it, but it's always good to have those marked out and just kind of look for the signs in your confirmation going into Thursday and or Friday. So that was it, and as I stated, I'm being completely transparent. I missed this trade, but it was a really good example I wanted to share with you guys. There's a couple people in the Discord that ended up taking this off the draw or the drop that I had, and yeah, congrats to them. But and I'm sure even some people caught the retest here, but I just wasn't around. But yeah, hopefully we end up getting a break of this range, because this is exhausting, guys. But I did want to share this with you and post this publicly on Twitter because this was a great one.